Every spot in this trailer exists because something went wrong at some point. Let me show you what I mean. The first thing I did when I got this trailer 25 years ago, this was called the Millennium Package back then. I didn't want to just build 2x4 and plywood shelves for my trailer, so I had everything custom fabbed, and we put a lot of thought into how we wanted our trailer to work. Now our trailer's not super big. It's only a 12-foot by 8-foot wide trailer. We got the widest trailer we could, so we had room to walk through it with racks on both sides. Then we had the racks custom made around our tools and our boxes. And so right here, we have all these things stacked up. We have this one set of rods that we can put all of our shovels, rakes, and stack them all in together. We have these hoops, which are kind of nice when getting into the trailer, you can grab one to step up. And then we have pole saw diggers, rock bars, and then over here, we have a spot for our drive stakes and other implements that are smaller that kind of roll around and make a mess. It's one of the first things we use on every job site is digging and rake materials. So it's always at the outside the doors. As soon as you open these doors, you got your rakes and your shovels. So on this side, we just have a lot of different extension cords that hang in here. Now, obviously we're using a bunch because we're right in the middle of a project, but normally these are stacked pretty full of extension cords. It's really the only purpose for this area is for extension cords. And then below we have a little bin that holds just some miscellaneous stuff, a strap for our tent and a couple other things, a rolling tape measure, just some miscellaneous things that don't really work out in any other particular place. And then we also have a place for our fold out squares. We have some elevation marking devices. The very first point of the project, I always need a big square to check things for where we're pouring our footings and stuff like that. So it's really nice to have that right here. We do stash a lot of our tracks right here. So it's a nice place to keep our track saw tracks so that they don't get bent up, dinged up, and that kind of thing. Usually we have 3 or 4 right here, and they just kind of sit up against this wall so they don't get damaged. Before we'd have them just laying in the trailer, and it was freaking me out because for one, the rubber gets dinged up if it's sitting sideways and it's just stuffed in the side of the trailer, and then in transport, things fall, things shift, and it could bend a track or it could possibly ruin the rubber on the bottom. So we like to keep them tied up against the wall so they just stay there. And there's a special extension cord that we use to plug in our trailer for lighting. We have different designated areas for certain things in the trailer. Now, because we're in the middle of a job, a lot of our tools are actually set up somewhere else, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but this helps us show you where everything goes and why. So this specific shelf here is only for our Fasten Master engineered products. If it shows a picture of something, it better be what's on the label. The reason for most of the fasteners being in here, the axles of the trailer are right through here. We don't want to put too much weight too close to the back of the trailer. We want to keep the trailer equally balanced so that it has some weight towards the front so that this trailer does not fishtail on the freeway or going through town or something like that. Everything's facing out so I can easily get to it, and you can dig through things. And then below that, we have some miscellaneous construction legs, some of our MVP screws, other ledger locks, and maybe backup boxes of stuff. We have even more fasteners down here. Mostly on the floor is our heavier stuff. We have a lot of our bolts and different types of connectors, things that add up in weight. From there, we have our G-tape aisle. So we've committed an entire row of these types of bins for our G-tape. We use it so much, it's a very important part. It's integral to us as a company that we're using this all the time. And it's gotten a lot better, it's a lot cleaner. Things aren't rolling out onto the floor as much as they used to. So then on the next shelf up, we normally have a microwave right here, which is not here right now, it's in the garage. And then we have all of our hand tools, all our loose stuff, things that we don't have in a box or that we use maybe moderately frequently that we need access to right away, we put on this shelf. So we have a lot of rear handle saws, different types of 6.5 inch saws. We have a couple framing nailers, some roto hammers, concrete vibrator, things like that will go on this shelf here. And then up here, we have deck spacers and chemicals, different type of cleaning agents, stuff that maybe doesn't fit anywhere else. And then it gets into like the WD-40s and stuff like that. Additional chalk. We like to carry a little bit of extras of things. So I try not to have too much, but I don't like to go to the home centers too often. Once I'm at work, I rely on my trailer heavily. We try to keep it well stocked, full of the most popular brackets that we use and just things that that I need like refills on chalk and that kind of stuff. That brings us up to about here on this side. So this side of this shelf, the top shelf, is committed to boxed products that we need, like our Stabila lasers that need to be stored in a protective case. We have a couple different jackhammers, roto hammers, things like that, that we just know where they are. So this top shelf is committed to that. And then once we get to this space here, now this is a lot of loose stuff that just got put up here, but normally our big chop saw will go down here, our table saw will go right here, and our smaller chop saw will go up here. So things get moved around a little bit. We have a Sasquatch up here. So this stuff will get stacked. Like the table saw, it becomes a flat table. We'll bury the rip fence and then it's a nice flat spot. And then we can stack more stuff on top of that. And that's what we do when we're packing up to leave, once we're done with a project. Or sometimes we might be 7/8 done, we're down to the trim work or we're down to the railing. We know we don't need all these additional tools. So the crew will start packing the trailer back up. They're putting things away that we don't think we need anymore, but we could always come back in and get later. These nails right here, these framing nails, those normally go stuffed under the axle area on this side of the trailer over here. Before, we wouldn't have dedicated spaces for our table saw or our chop saws, and they were just getting stacked and moved and put on top of each other, and things would fall on them. You know, you can break stuff that way. You got to think about the transport of your tools. Like, it's rough back here. This thing gets bumped around quite a bit when we're on the road. That's why some of these rails are nice to have, so things don't go sliding off and falling into the center of the trailer. Now we're in the nose of the trailer. We have this shelf that the fabricator made as a workbench. We don't ever use it as a workbench. I would prefer this to be more shelving and storage area versus what it is. So basically all of our different loose screws are in all these different bins back here. A lot of our tools are inside of boxes like this. So what you see here, these are military cases. These have been to Iraq before. I thought that was kind of cool. We just store tools because it keeps them dry and secure versus just letting them sit outside. So usually when we're outdoors and we're in a backyard and we don't have access to a secure place to put our tools, sometimes we'll put them in these cases and then we'll have a tent that we work under for our tools and our chargers and things like that. When that's the case, these go outside and are stored underneath the tent with the rest of our equipment. And normally there's a couple easy ups in here as well. So we have a big tent and a small tent, and the big tent's right here. So there's a door that leads out, but we just have stuff stacked in here, like all this extra G tape. There's just a cardboard box with miscellaneous crap in it. There's our big tent, which is kind of heavy and it's kind of cumbersome, but this is a great spot for it because it's just out of the way so that we can reach the back of this trailer. This is just a spare toolbox with just plumbing supplies for when we hit sprinkler lines. We can do a on-site repair versus having to go to the home center and get all the glue and all the fittings and hope that we remember everything we need. It's all right here. So underneath here, we have more bins. These have mostly hardware, different decorative hardware, joist hangers, L90s. It's good to have some heavy weight in the nose of your trailer so that your trailer doesn't fishtail. So this is all hardware related stuff, joist hangers that are stuffed in the nose. Over here, you can see right now, we just have a lot of clamps clamped to this shelf. Normally, all the clamps go over here on this side, and they're all clamped to this one wall. We always have extra 5 gallons of water on tap. Okay, so back here, we have this Diamondback wall unit that they sent me. And mostly what we do is, as you can see, we have a couple drills hanging here. These are a different type of impact that we don't use a whole lot. We use a bungee cord to strap it. There's a couple miscellaneous shells. We have some Pika stuff here, some pass load gas that we don't use a whole lot. So this is kind of stuff we don't use as much. It's not a bad use of space considering what else you're gonna do with this wall. And over here, we have a toolbox with different things. You know, this particular shelf has marking scratch pads. It's like, how often do you need a plug-in? It's nice to have one when you need it. And you can see above me, one of the hardest things is like level storage, level management, anything that's longer in a trailer and it's precious, we'll say, or important. We try to keep all of our 8-foot, 9-foot track, like track saw tracks, and our long levels, our plate level and all that up on top of these racks here. And what we do is once we get ready for transport, we may put a clamp up here or two to hold this from anything coming out, or we might clamp the outside level down to these bars so that this doesn't move around so much. And then while we're on the job site, it's just a great place to stash levels and things so that you just have access to it, but everything's in a spot that you can get to, and it's kind of up and out of the way and not in your way, and you're not tripping over it. All right, so obviously there's some missing tools out of the trailer. Where I'm standing is usually when we're full of tools, we're packed to the end. So let me show you where all that stuff is. So what you see here are our most used tools. These are the tools we use every day for some reason, one way or another. We're just gonna start over here, we'll go down the line. Obviously here is our microwave, just for lunches. So we just like to have it out, easily accessible. So it's right here at the end of this table. These tables are usually under a tent. We usually don't have full access to the homeowner's garage like this, and it's usually not where we're working. First thing you'll notice, a lot of our most important tools, our bits, are all in waterproof cases. This thing's over 20 years old. It's got over $1,000 worth of bits in it though. So there's all the T bits, all the T20s, 15s, 10s, Cortex, Phillips, square drive, all that stuff is in here. Easily accessible, ready to go. Right next to it, we have our battery chargers. So mostly DeWalt and Makita. These are very important to us, and it's important that they stay dry. If there's any chance of inclement weather on these, we close this down. I've lost all my battery chargers in the past because it got soaking wet in here, destroyed everything. I didn't have it in a case like this. When we're done with the job, this gets packed up and locked in the trailer and Tetrised in there. The reason I have so many cases is so things can be stacked. You come down here, here's all of our batteries. Now normally when we have a full case of batteries, this is one of the heaviest cases that we have. So the reason it sits on this table with the chargers is when we have a tent over this and we're outside and we're not in a garage, this will be strapped. The strap will go underneath this table and it straps the tent to the ground. So in high winds, we don't lose our tent. I've lost a lot of tents in the past from high winds. Having a couple 100 pounds on a table works really good. Then we get into my personal toolkit. This is kind of heavy too, and it's kind of a pain to set up, but once we roll it into position, we leave it there. This is all made by DeWalt. It has everything I need for my own personal use and the team. So the reason I have it set up like this is several years of testing and doing things differently, and this is what I found works for me. We have a lot of marking devices, pencils, stair gauges, extra bits, things like that. We have more marking devices, drill bits, special ones, all the Pica LEDs, things like that. Specialty drill bits that we use all the time in some of our aluminum framing. It just goes on and on. These are all the DeWalt drill bits that I get from some of our Christmas specials that you'll see on our channel. It's just nice to have all the machine bits that you need while you're assembling. We have different headlamps for the wintertime, which we're coming out of, but still need them. I got my personal gloves, a couple safety glasses and things like that. Battery chargers, stuff like that. And down here we have our chalk lines, paddle bits, and our jigsaw blades and our oscillator blades, tape measures and things like that. Belts for our mini belt sander. Ooh, and a nice stiletto hammer. Nobody's allowed to have that, touch that though, that's mine. And then over here, this is like my personal toolkit. This is more of my stuff that I use. Has my personal squares in it. I usually, at the end of the day, I put my tapes. I'll have a couple extra Picas in here, files. There's scissors, so people still will come in here and take things out to use, pry bars, cat's paws, but it's just at least in a space that they know where it's at. We have the similar thing on the other side as well, and it has like our torpedo levels. There's also a case on top. Right now I have all my camera gear and stuff like that in there, and again, in another case, this is just as important to document all of the stuff we're doing. This is also on a flatbed roller. This is really nice. We can roll it around and put it wherever. I really like this, by the way. This is a really cool setup. And over here, so we have a more pack-out style tool storage. So the DeWalt pack-out stuff, we try to keep our DeWalt tools in. The Makita MacPack, we try to keep Makita stuff in, but then some of them also have our Stabila levels in them, like our shorter Stabila levels and things like that. And then we borrowed the client's table, we put some cardboard down, and we're using this for our various tool storage as well. You can see like some of our repurposed containers, this is all just shims. Like this would go in the trailer, but it won't get stacked on that one shelf. It'll just get stacked somewhere else, but it's all like plastic shims that we need we use them all the time for different various reasons. So those are there. Then we just have our other miscellaneous tools, like this tool we use quite a bit, a little mini belt sander. So we like to just kind of keep all of our stuff as organized as we can, but we're also working, so things get moved around. We have a couple of different cases with just blades. Like this case only has reciprocating saw blades. It has jigsaw blades, mostly reciprocating saw. And then there's also oscillator blades, and just like in this right here, these are all full of oscillator blades. Also, we have grinder wheels. So anything for cutting, it's all right here in this one case. And here you see we have some US4 blades because we just switched to US4 tools on our builds. And honestly, I didn't expect them to keep up with what we always use. US4 is a newer brand. Drill bits, drive bits, built specifically for construction. We were skeptical at first, but job site after job site, these things just keep performing. Drilling through composite, driving screws, cutting, no skipping, no stripping, no swapping bits halfway through a board. They've earned a spot in our kit on every single build. Links below, check out what they've got. And then it's just like miscellaneous screws and things like that. Then underneath the table, we just have a couple larger tools, like a 10-inch saw and our other small 8.5-inch chop saw that we don't use as much, but it's just nice to have it out and ready to go when we are. We also have our big stuff that fits in the trailer as well. So all of the cut hubs get folded up and stacked inside there as well. Here's our big chop saw that fits in one of those shelves. We also have the chop shops. You can see, look how much rain it keeps off the saw. Very important to contain the sawdust and the water, and that all has to fit in there as well. So this all gets taken apart and stuffed in the trailer. We also have our table saw, which is over here, and that also gets set on a shelf. Sometimes we'll pack this inside the trailer if it fits. If not, then that goes in the back of the truck. Because by the time we get all this stuff in here, into here, it's pretty much about 5 feet high all the way back to the doors. So we don't have much room to fit anything else. A couple more things that we squeeze into the trailer at the end of the job and we're ready to pull out is we have a wheel lock on one of the wheels of the trailer so that it makes it a little more difficult to take. And then we also have a tongue lock, both by Proven Locks. Everything's keyed the same. So we have 3 puck locks, this one and one for each door, that are all keyed the same. And then our trailer wheel lock, which also is keyed the same. So 1 key, 4 locks, keeps things pretty secure. So everything I need to build a deck professionally fits in this trailer. It makes sense to me and it covers all my needs. If I gave you any ideas for your trailer, leave a comment below.